I first want to appreciate all those that have spoken this afternoon. My first question is to Ahmad Damchida, which is to say, he did provide a very brilliant suggestion or an idea with regards to incentivizing ramping up production. Can this idea be extended towards incentivizing domestic supply obligations of crude oil to the local refiners, such that rather than trying to get the IOCs fall under the PIA to supply crude under the DCSO, which is domestic crude supply obligation, can this idea of incentivizing be used to naturally propagate them towards supplying the local market with crude oil? That's for Mr. Damchida. Then to Mr. Falade, there is this myth that with local refining of products, there will be gross advantage in terms of pricing to the local end users, meaning it will be grossly cheaper. Are we wishing something that cannot happen, or is there a gap that is missing for Nigerians to truly benefit from cheaper petroleum prices? Now, this is also tied again in terms of our securing our energy. There is the drive towards CNG today. And part of that, the major component of CNG is the autogas. Now, if you're bringing more parties into the autogas space, what then happens to investors like yourself who have invested so much in refineries, and then you don't want 15, 20 years, or sorry, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you are battling facilities with the bank because your off-takers who would have naturally been the users of PMS or AGO are now depending on CNG as their means of transport, knowing that transportation drives the use of products. Then generally, I was hoping that the SA will be on this, at this event, and maybe this is just to everyone. We have a situation where we've spent almost $4 billion in bringing back the 3 refineries in Nigeria, local refineries, Warri, Port Harcourt, and now I think they're going to do Kaduna. We don't have a strategic petroleum reserve as a company, as a country. Malawi, South Africa, even Kenya today is building strategic petroleum reserves. We know of what they've done in Europe, what they've done in America. In fact, the American one is a case study everywhere. If there was a strategic reserve that could cater for at least 30 days of crude refining, for example, another 30 days for gas processing, then we begin to talk about sustainability and, of course, securing the energy that we need to propel industrialization locally. So I just wanted to throw this to the House as well. Thank you.
So you spoke about the myth that if we have more domestic refineries, that would automatically translate into cheaper, much cheaper refined product pricing. Not necessarily so. As long as crude feedstock continues to remain the dominant component of your cost equation, and it does account for as much as 90% of your OPEX, you are somehow limited or modulated by the price of feedstock. So I think it's a reality. What can then help to stem the impact of that are some of the fiscal and monetary policies that are coming out. I think the Naira for Naira initiative of Mr. President is a very brilliant initiative that would help to sort of stem how expensive the refined products can be. The nation is still going through what are the details for implementation. But just philosophically standing where you are, if you can have Naira being the cost of your feedstock, it helps you when you are pricing in Naira as well. And to the extent of what stands in between to bridge that exchange rate risk, therein lies an opportunity. So there are ways that can help make the fuel more affordable. But let me say two things with respect to this question that we must keep our minds on. The biggest challenge is not about getting fuel cheaper in Nigeria. How do we secure our borders? That the cheap fuel price in Nigeria does not become the basis of subsidizing the entire West African region. That's a more existential challenge that we find. So even today, with all the floating of the exchange rate and what have you, that we are buying fuel at 600 plus, 700 plus at the retail station, if you travel down the West African region, in some countries, it's selling 3 times. So whilst we're looking at making it cheaper, we need to find a way to ring fence our borders, that cheapness does not then get lost as people create the arbitrage game of taking it across the border, and we don't have access to it. That's what I would say. Now, to the second question you asked around the competition threat from auto gas and all of that, it's a distant possibility, because the scale of the gap we're dealing with now does not make it a near-term or a medium-term challenge. I think we should still go on and develop the refining capacity, because Europe is not developing, they are mothballing a lot of their refining capacities. If we pick up the slack because of the capacity we have built, even when our market becomes saturated, there is the West African regional market to serve. And with the implementation of ACAFTA, the pathway to making what we produce over and beyond national need becoming the subject of export just gets brighter. And as Nigerians, we are very resilient. We are very creative. We always find a way to create value from the excess capacity that we have.